Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Lunch and Learn series. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about alternative dispute resolution. I have Alice Rudnick here with me from the New York Unified Court System and Anna Wilkerson from the Court Improvement Project. I'm going to kick it off a little bit. First of all, talking about the New York State Kinship Navigator. Just a FYI to everybody on the call today, this session will be recorded. You are muted, but if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat function, and at the end of the presentation, we will answer those questions. Here's a little bit of information about our Lunch and Learn series. As many of you know, at this point in time, we're hosting Lunch and Learn the third Thursday of every month from 12 to 12:30. We've had some really excellent presentations so far from Center for Elder Law and Justice, Hunger Solutions, National Association of Social Workers, the King Care Coalition, Bright Side Up. Stay tuned for next month's Lunch and Learn. We'll get the word out about that. And we have one in December coming up from Lifespan about the kinship respite model. So all good stuff. If you've got any suggestions, feel free to send me an email, and we will continue this educational series for you. I am Rae Glaser. I am from the New York State Kinship Navigator program. I'm the director. I'm going to give a brief kickoff of what the New York State Kinship Navigator and the system of care can do for you and for professionals and clients, and then turn it over to hear more about alternative dispute resolution. So the New York State Kinship Navigator program is information, referral, education, and advocacy for kinship caregivers all across New York State. We service prospective caregivers, we service caregivers, informal, both formal, those inside and outside the child welfare system, as well as professionals, by providing information in the form of legal fact sheets, county resources, and via our helpline. Education, we have an online video archive on very common caregiving issues, such as how to apply for financial assistance, what is legal custody, guardianship, kin gap. We provide statewide presentations in person or in Zoom, and legislative education on kinship policy. We work with the New York State System of Care for kinship. We provide referrals to kinship case management programs, the local kinship services that are funded by the Office of Children and Family Services to provide case management services to informal families, permanency resource centers for post-guardianship and post-adoptive families, other kinship programs that are funded by other funding streams, as well as a legal referral network across the state for kinship legal questions. And we also provide case-by-case advocacy and statewide advocacy. So if you have any questions, you'd like to get in touch with one of our kinship navigators, feel free to call our helpline Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, 877-454-6463. We also have an online chat feature where you can chat with a kinship navigator via our website, which is www.nysnavigator.org. There's a screenshot of our website for you. Right on the site, we've got all those legal fact sheets that are right under legal resources, our video archive, county resources broken down in a map where you can click on each county for information. And you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen an online talk to chat that you can chat with a kinship navigator during business hours. One other feature that we have to our program is our virtual case assistance. We do provide virtual case management in 15 counties in New York State right now. If you are from one of those counties or have a client that is from one of those counties, feel free to give us a call. We will connect you with a virtual case manager. That is a case manager that's assigned to your case for 6 months, can help with facilitated benefit applications, referrals, and extensive follow-up from the kinship navigator. So it's not merely just 1 or 2 phone calls to our helpline. That case manager will stay on the client's case for up to 6 months and help them with whatever they need. And you can see right on your screen the counties that we have that available in. So feel free to give us a call and we will connect you with the case manager. You can also download our permission to contact form right online that enables you as a professional that are working with a kinship caregiver to have that kinship caregiver sign and fax that to us and gives the navigator the ability to call that client rather than just giving them our helpline information. Takes the onus off the client and makes contact a little bit easier. It's right on our homepage, and we will also send that out to everybody that participated in the call today. If you'd like to promote information about the navigator, feel free to connect with one of us. We will send you any type of outreach material or brochures, trifolds, posters to get the word out about the navigator. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alice Rudnick from ADR. She's here to talk a little bit about the process of alternative dispute resolutions, as one of the things that we hear quite a bit from our kinship families is they need lots of help navigating the legal system, which can be very complex. So thank you, Alice. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Rae. Thank you so much for inviting me to join you on this Lunch and Learn. In different ways, I've been connected with Kinship Navigator over, well, at least 15 years. I remember initially talking about it with Jerry Wallace to see how our services might benefit individuals and families involved with kinship issues. So first, just introducing myself, I work with the New York State Unified Court System's Office of Alternative Dispute Resolution. And our projects are very similar to other agencies we work with, providing information about alternative dispute resolution. We share information about referrals in the sense of like where you might find better connections for the services you're looking for in alternative dispute resolution throughout the state. We also educate communities and professionals on alternative dispute resolution, what those services mean, what they involve, and how they can benefit different people and different individuals, families, and communities. And we're also promote alternative dispute resolution and provide alternative dispute resolution services through our agencies that we work with in partnership or contract agencies that we are involved with. So to switch to the agenda, just to give you an idea of where we're going on the next slide, that is that we'll be looking at what is alternative dispute resolution, what are the, also called ADR, what are the benefits of alternative dispute resolution, the kinds of processes we use or tools we use to help people through alternative dispute resolution, an overview of the Community Dispute Resolution Centers network, which I'll explain in a bit, and their services, those core values that we bring to our programs, and what brings people to a CDRC for services, ADR services. Who are referral agencies? How do people come to us? What is the channel that they use to get to us? And what do people experience when they call a CDRC? Because I know we know that a lot of people are used to having to navigate, unlike the Kinship Navigator, which is so clearly customer service has a customer service orientation. Oftentimes, I myself find others find that when they try to call an agency or someone for assistance, for support, that there's it's a difficult, challenging process to get the services that they need. So we will talk a bit about that too, and ways to access those services. So going on, please feel welcome. Is there a chat? I forgot to ask. If there's a chat, yes, there is a chat function here. So please share any questions that you have through the chat. I'm happy to answer them, and we'll hope to provide a few minutes at the end to discuss those. If anything comes up relevant to the slide that I'm on or discussion, please let me know so I can respond.
I will, absolutely. I'm keeping an eye on the chat.
Thanks. Great. So alternative dispute resolution. What is it exactly? Well, if you think about when you might have a dispute, what your options are, And many of us have different orientations or styles to conflict or dispute. Some of us might want to avoid it at all costs. Some of us might dive right in and go for it. Some of us might treat it very carefully, very tentatively. Some of us might feel so awkward and vulnerable when we're in conflict that we just don't know what to do. And what alternative dispute resolution provides is a spectrum of services, really, that can run anywhere from very simple to more complex alternatives responses. Most people, I think, are familiar with when they have a dispute that is typically a legal issue, that they'll bring it to court. And people are familiar with that partly because the legal profession is, is a part of so much of everyone's lives in one way or another, but also because in television shows and popular movies, books, there are often references to the legal profession and what it's like to be in court, to serve on a jury, to bring a case to court. And it's dramatized, it's popularized, and fewer people know about the alternatives to litigation or appearing in court or pursuing those options, those avenues to respond or resolve conflict. What we see in alternative dispute resolution is we have professionally trained staff and volunteers who provide highly effective services that help people address situations and relationships. And when I say situations and relationships, we are particular about emphasizing both aspects of conflict. So think about a conflict that you might be aware of personally, or because of a friend of yours or an associate or a client of yours, and recognizing that there is the situation itself. So even if it's, let's say, a contractor, business person, that's the situation. Might be the contract has not been met to the satisfaction of the individual, or it might be that the contractor is disputing because they weren't paid what they were expecting to be paid. That's the situation. The relationship is that interaction that they have, that dependency that they have on each other. The person hiring the contractor is depending on the contractor to provide those services, but those services are connected to perhaps an investment in a house or a car. And so likewise with the contractor, their relationship is for a good reputation in the community. They've invested time in this, in what their service is. And so there is more than just the situation itself. And of course, when we're talking about family differences or disputes, that relationship is even more involved and possibly more important and vital to the individuals involved. So when we say that our services help people address situations and relationships, it's to build better connections, to improve communication skills, to learn how to express our choices and our voices, how to discuss issues in a way that's respectful, to consider options before going to positions or to reconsider positions, to clarify what choices are available. When we're in a heightened place of animosity or adversity and vulnerability and fear and anger and frustration, it is harder for us neurologically, not just saying casually, it's harder for us. Neurologically, we're not in a position to make the best choices. We are, parts of our brain are unresponsive to even hear other voices and other opinions when we're in that kind of shutdown place. So it gives us an option through this less a less confrontational opportunity to address our differences and potentially resolve disputes. So some of the benefits in the next slides include that recognizing that we all have conflicts in our lives. So there can be a tremendous stigma about having a conflict. And I say that because people can feel embarrassed. They can feel that it's dysfunctional for them to even have a conflict with that person or about that issue. So let's go back to the contractor. People can feel embarrassed that they may have made the wrong choice, question their judgment about choosing that contractor or that service provider. They might have a sense of vulnerability in that they depended on that person and now they are left with a job half done, undone, and they don't know what to do next because they had already projected the project being done. So recognizing that we might feel private, we might feel concerned about our, our assessment of ourselves or the opinions of others creates and contributes to those stigmas about conflict. And the ADR processes like mediation, conflict coaching, and restorative practices can help us effectively address our concerns and our interests in a way that is less formal, less stressful, and more congenial. That doesn't mean that there aren't high emotions, but it does mean that they're addressed in a way that is respectful. And I will be focusing on mediation, conflict coaching, and restorative practices in this brief introduction to ADR coming in the next slides. So the benefits of ADR include that it can be provided in one or more sessions as needed. And that means that it's depending on what progress is made, that it can be provided in convenient, accessible locations in your community and at low or no cost. And we'll talk some more about that. That ADR supports the voices and choices, as I said, in respectful discussions and decision-making. And it's the parties or the individuals who come to mediation who decide what will be discussed. It's their matters. It's not someone else's that are imposed upon them. And then ADR works very well in concert with court matters. So again, let's say that you're the contractor and the individual or the family members who are having a dispute. There may be a legal issue that has been brought to the court, but the courts, more so than ever now, are suggesting and offering and referring people to mediation and restorative practices for consideration of some of the issues or all of the issues to be then brought back to the court for court orders or decision making. So again, people find that they're able to effectively address and resolve issues, to preserve and strengthen valuable relationships, that they find high satisfaction even without an agreement on all of the issues. Just getting some of the issues resolved can effectively contribute to better understanding and better relationships going forward. And that people find that it improves their ability to voice their concerns with clarity, to hear other people's issues with better improved understanding, and to feel more confident and more competent. So it's not a false confidence. It is a sense of competency with their ability to communicate, similar to any muscle that we're exercising. If we're used to stifling our voices, then it's harder for us to express them. And yes, someone's asking if I could speak more to family disputes like custody of children and visitation. Absolutely. I'm recognizing that some of you are participating in this webinar are service providers. Some of you are the individuals who are directly involved with kinship care. And so, yes, this is one of the highlights of alternative dispute resolution, where it is so effective, is in family matters between parents and children, between parents themselves over custody visitation issues, or developing parenting plans, and certainly with kinship caregiving, where you have relatives taking care of the children of their own children or other relatives. So yes, I will be stepping into that place as well. So moving on with an example of that, imagine that you are in a position where you are let's say the grandparent coming into an issue where your adult child is unable to effectively raise and provide for their own child, and you've taken on that responsibility, recognizing that there are complex relationships in here that are involved because of perhaps expectations, misunderstandings, stress on the family, decision-making, communication issues. How are we going to share the responsibilities? If we're going to share the responsibilities, we will provide parents, individuals, children the opportunity to talk with each other about what is involved. Not only what are their positions, what are their roles and responsibilities, but what are their values, what are their understandings of how they can proceed, how they can manage these additional responsibilities in an effective way together. So rather than, let's say, bringing it to court and having an impartial judge decide, this would offer the family an opportunity to step back and consider, share, listen to, collaborate, brainstorm, work together to see if there are other options that they haven't considered that might work well for them, that might be feasible. And what we find is that the agreements, when they are reached, are very durable. So they are agreements that they made, that they participated in, so that they are more willing, more able to follow through with those agreements. And that's true whether it comes through mediation. These are the different processes that we use: mediation, conflict coaching, restorative practices, or training opportunities for working together in a more effective communication style. And so I'd like to focus on mediation for a moment to give you more details about that. And so in the next slide, I refer to mediators specifically helping people discuss their concerns and differences. And this could be in difficult decisions, situations, and relationships. Now, mediation can be an early intervention before something ever rises to the level of being a court case, for sure, but even for people abruptly walking out on each other, unable to talk, and in this kind of isolated avoidance that is less than ideal, less than productive going forward. So imagine that your two parents having to look at what your child goes to in a parenting issue. Does your child go to this school or another? Does your child act involved with this activity or another? And some of those are easy decisions, easy discussions, but some can be more involved and more difficult. And so that's where mediation can also be very effective. You don't need a court case in order to come to mediation. Where in mediation, people are encouraged to raise issues express their perspectives. This is what matters to me. This is why it matters to me. That may not have been understood or appreciated by the other party. And it's understandable that wouldn't be, because their experience defines what expectations are. That's true for all of us. If I was raised in a family where we were all encouraged to be very athletic and to be outdoors a lot, and my partner with my children has been more is more familiar with a family that impresses and emphasizes education, learning, reading, intellectual pursuits. There may be some disputes about how our children spend their time and where we invest our limited resources in their pursuits. So to discuss options, to develop their own solutions means helping people have that space. And it really does feel that way, that it's creating a field, a space for them to take their time, have these discussions, where typically a mediation session might last an hour or two. As I said before, if another session is needed, that's not a problem. It's not like there is a schedule of has to be solved by this date or this date, unless that is imposed by the mediators, unless it's something that is raised by the situation. And then typically more mediation sessions can be provided to accommodate that. So we
Well,
find
just to jump in, we've only got about 3 more minutes left in our session. There's so much information to be sharing with everybody about ADR. I do want to allow Anna to hop in with comments that she has as well. Would you like me to speed through some of these slides for you? How would you like to do this?
Well, will everyone be provided with the slides?
Yep, absolutely.
Great. And I think the rest of the slides are self-explanatory. We've talked about, if we go through to the CDRC services for individuals, families, and communities. No. Right. So our core values, so step back one there. Our core values are that it's voluntary, self-determined, they're confidential discussions, they're impartial discussions, where the mediator does not take sides, and where the safety of the parties is a high concern. And so the CDRCs in your communities, and I do have this, there are slides referring to that, are in every community in New York State. And that really connects with what Anna will be speaking with going forward, because Anna will be speaking to the particular issues involved with permanency mediation. And that's another example where our services work in concert with the courts. So I'd like to introduce Anna Wilkinson, who is the coordinator for the Child Welfare and Court Improvement Project in the 3rd and 4th Judicial District. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alice. That was amazing. What an amazing overview. And Rae, thank you for allowing me to come today. I do apologize for putting that in the chat while Alice was talking. I'm still working on my chat function skills.
No, it's perfect. Thank you for everybody to have it. And I'm just going to advance to our last slide. So we have the contact information. Go right ahead, Anna, take over.
Thank you. So just really briefly, child permanency mediation is another tool in your tool belt for people to have. The real difference is you have to be involved in child welfare, meaning you really do have to have a child protective worker involved in the case. Things that that's really the only difference. We are going to mediation. We are solving problems. They can be things like relationships problems. Maybe the kinship foster parent is not getting along with the birth parent or the CPS worker. Maybe there's some issues with how the visitations are being scheduled. Maybe we're at the end of the case and trying to settle out either a termination of parental rights or custody. Child permanency mediation is another tool that you can ask for in court to try to get issues resolved. It is a paid mediator through my program, the Court Improvement Project. I have listed not only my contact information in the chat, but also our statewide coordinator, Sue Schaefer. If you want any more information on child permanency mediation, please give me a call. Please take a peek at the brochure. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it further. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anna. We really appreciate that. We will send out Anna's contact information in the brochure and our follow-up email as well. With perfect hindsight, this may have been one that would have been better to be an hour-long webinar because there's so much information. But we're more than happy to do any type of follow-up webinar on this that anybody would like. So feel free to send us, your thoughts, questions, anything that you have following this webinar, and we will make sure to post the video, the PowerPoint, the handouts, and everybody's contact information. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alice, Anna, and
Thank you.
everybody on the call. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you all.
Thank you.